One of the questions that is asked to me the most is how often should we post on Facebook and what is exactly the algorithm of Facebook that everyone talks about. In this module we will cover these sort of notions and see that each social media actually have a sort of frequency which is a little bit native, which is specific to that particular social media. The algorithm is the computer program that decides if it will be showed to a lot of people, to less people, and you will understand a bit better how computers take decisions to post your content in front of people. One of the questions I hear the most often is how often to post, so let's look at real data on posting on Facebook. This is compiled from millions of Facebook posts and probably hundreds of thousands of pages by a number of content management softwares that handle so many accounts they can compile these sort of things. And what they found is that on Facebook, one post per day is probably the best average, which means during the week, and probably mostly the work week plus Saturday, you would get 6 posts per week. This is quite important if you think about it and you're a small organization. But if you're a large organization, you have the exact opposite problem. You have too much content and you have to limit yourself to 1 post per day, eventually 2 if you're very, very active. So what we see is that you should be able to post at least 1 post per week, but ideally you have to go for 1 post per day, especially when you're in an activation campaign, which means you have a set of time, probably 2 months, where you're running a campaign, you need to push for it. I also checked the other social medias because I think it's pretty important for all of us to have a global picture about that. And Twitter, we are talking about 15 tweets per day. If you want to grow a channel, you have to go up to 15 tweets a day. Imagine a little bit for most of your projects, that's not possible. This is why Twitter is a personal channel. We expect people on Twitter to be real people and to tweet about everything they do, and they feed the community of Twitter. A very low amount of tweets would be 1 tweet per day. Most of organizations, when they are on Twitter, do not have lots of followers because you're not very interesting for someone on Twitter. But someone working in the organization, probably the project leader or a specific academic you've recruited who's very good, could tweet much more often than that. Twitter is a personal branding tool, so you are exposing yourself towards other people and you want these people to interact with you, so this is a very specific type of channel. LinkedIn, some people are having groups or pages on LinkedIn. Usually we consider 1 post per day is great so as to really push forward your brand. Most often we would find probably once per week, which is pretty low, but still something. You have to consider that LinkedIn is a professional channel, which means you have a professional interaction with people of the same level than you, whether for recruiting them or talking about news about your industry. So in your case, you might not have a lot of followers on LinkedIn unless you have a technical project or a scientific project where scientists might be on LinkedIn. You have to understand this is a specific channel. So once per day for growing. Less than that, you probably not grow very fast, but it's still something. Instagram, another type of channel, and in this case we see that to grow a channel on Instagram we are talking about 1 to 2 posts per day. The very highest number of people of posts we can have are around 3 per day, and you know that Instagram is a specific channel that rely on one sort of information, pictures, and great pictures. So if you do not have great pictures in your project, if for instance most of your project is all about meeting in dark rooms in hotels, you do not want to use Instagram as a channel because you won't find the content to feed that particular thing. But if you do have something outdoor or very specific or something that people do not know much, like for instance a scientific project that could have amazing machines, this is a great channel. Now you have to remember you need to post quite frequently so as to aggregate enough people on your page to make it worthwhile. Think about it before. Do you have the content and are the people you want to talk to on Instagram? I would like you to think about how Facebook works now, but with the words of Mark Zuckerberg himself. As we roll this out, he is talking about the newest algorithm of Facebook. You'll see less public content like posts from businesses, brands, and media. And the public content you see will be held to the same standard. It should encourage meaningful interactions between people. What happened over the years and why Mark Zuckerberg is basically telling us that our Facebook page are gonna reduce their exposure to people, and why should we be made accountable to create interactions? Over the years, everyone understood that Facebook was a great free channel. You could post anything you wanted and try to attract people. But what does that mean? The more people were actually coming onto Facebook and the more businesses were also coming onto Facebook. As a project leader, a communication officer, you are responsible for a business. It might be a non-profit business, but you have the exact same categorization for Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook. So now you're in competition with thousands of people, thousands of other organizations who try to talk to the same people you're trying to talk to. So what Mark Zuckerberg is saying is, well, you will have to compete much more for their attention because you're so many that we will see only great content, we will push only great content onto our users, because we do not want our users to endlessly go through their newsfeed to just see advertising or see the post of any European project. If we put one every 100 posts they look at, people might keep being on Facebook. But if suddenly they only have advertising, what would happen? They would get bored, very fed up and frustrated and leave Facebook. So Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook have always been trying to balance the interest of people on Facebook to come back and find great stuff they like, and the interest of their advertisers who pay for pushing their content. The more we will progress into that field, the less you will see branded content, public content, the one of businesses, and the more you will probably see things coming from real people like your nephew who just got a kid, or eventually the latest pictures of someone you know and respect who went to holidays in the Caribbean islands. What we want on Facebook is relatively good and entertaining content. This is why we go back on Facebook. We do not want just to be sold products all the time. You're selling an idea. It's similar than selling a product, so you have to be conscious about that. What meaningful interactions mean for Facebook are in this order. Comments meaning someone says something on top of your post. Reactions, which are not anymore only like, but also love and surprise and sadness. You've seen all these emoticons on top of posts. Replies to comments, which means someone said something and someone else replied to that comment, which means it is meaningful. And finally, sharing links over Messenger. You know that you can share a link in the Messenger app, which is a chat app from Facebook. Facebook track all these shares and think if someone took probably 10 or 20 seconds to send that over Messenger to someone else, it is probably very interesting as a content. It is a computer. The computer analyzes, gives a score to all these things and say, hey, the score is great, so we will even more push that content because it is great, it has been validated, people like it, to more people. Compare, for instance, with two posts that will be the two posts for a classic event of a project. The first one and the second one will be very different, and you will tell me which one is more trying to get meaningful interactions. We are organizing an event this Saturday about European financing in the Lombardia region. Come and share the message. That's the first one. We're organizing an event this Saturday. That's what it says. Come and share the message. You are asking people to do something. The second one, call to doers. You know someone who could change our region for the better? We offer advices and financing to launch European project in Lombardia. Saturday 15 at 2 p.m. If you think about the two posts, the first one is saying something you do. The second one is telling to people, I'm providing a lot of value. If you know someone who might benefit out of that, please share that message. You don't even need to really say share it. We are saying, you know someone who could change our region. If someone knows someone else, they will do something. The second one is much more likely to get a comment like the one of Stella. Check this out. You should definitely apply. So Stella is going to refer that to her friend. Or eventually the mother of Stella is going to refer it to Stella. But you're encouraging comments because you are showing the value you're bringing. The first one, you're saying something about yourself, saying like, hey, I'm doing that, love me. The second one is, I'm providing that to you. If you like it, do not hesitate to do something with it. We have two different philosophies. The first one is I tell you to do something. Usually as human beings, we are not very reacting well to someone telling you, hey, do that. While the second one is, if eventually you know someone interested, that would be amazing that you share the news. And then you make someone willing to help you. The second part of a Facebook post, and you know it, is usually a great image. Why? Because when you scroll on Facebook, you have plenty of news. So if it's only text, you might get bored. What you want is usually to stop on an image and discover the rest. I really engage you to stop using bad imagery. For one reason, because I see it everywhere on Facebook and it hurt my eyes. One amazing database to find great imagery is unsplash.com. This is a royalty-free database, which means you don't pay for accessing it. You can repost the images wherever you want, as long as you use the credit. You don't need to, but that's great for the artist who took the time to make this picture. And why is it such a good database of pictures? It's because these are real images. These are not faked on the studio. Actually, I'm faked on the studio. If you look at me right now, you wouldn't share my image. It's not very pushing for engagement and emotional. So if you look at Unsplash, you will see imagery which is very different. It is in context. These are real people. They have sweat, they have fears, they have expression on their faces. These are real people. Use this database because they have thousands of imagery and they should each time help you comment and put some sort of content out there. Let's look at a really bad image. This is a really bad image. You're organizing some sort of project. You have 4 fake people handling a fake cup. You've never seen that in your life. They are so made up with colors which do not exist that it feels fake. And now look at this one. This is a girl. This is a real person. She looks very into whatever thought she has. She's very engaging. So if I have to post my call for an event about business, between that one and that one, which one do you think will attract more people? A real person or 4 fake actors who I already hate myself, even seeing them 10 seconds on screen? Think about it. Which sort of imagery really attracts you? You're not selling a fake image of something. You are actually doing a real event. So always try to catch the spirit of that event and go find on unsplash.com the best image for that. I will conclude this particular chapter talking a little bit more in depth of the algorithm, this time with numbers. We know that Facebook now has an algorithm that only select between 3 to 7% of the fans of your page, people who already liked your page, and distribute content to them. Only these guys will see your content. So if you have 3,000 fans that most often projects do not reach, that's only between 100 and 250 people who will see what you're posting. This is your organic reach. This is a promise basically Facebook did to you some years ago. People who are your fans will see your content. Well, the real promise is only 3 to 7% of these people will see it. You still have to boost posts, to pay for advertising, to expose more people into your own Facebook page. And now what happens when you are thinking, I shouldn't repost something because people already seen it? Facebook is not dumb. If you're reposting 10 times the same post, they will try to expose more people who are already your fans. They will not re-expose the same guy 10 times. So do not feel too frustrated by that idea that I need to post it once. I posted last year in April. I can't overload people with that. People will never be overloaded. That's how the algorithm works. But what is interesting for me is the difference between organic reach, the people you can reach because they are fans of your page, or paying for reaching more people. And this will be the entire content of the next chapter of this course. If you are already very interested in how the Facebook algorithm works, I put you a really great article from one of the leading software on managing Facebook content, Hootsuite. So you can read this article, it is free. And we will dig into the specifics of posting an event in the next module. In this module, we've seen how often we have to post. These are general rules that have been aggregated over millions of users and posts. That doesn't mean you have to stick to them, but these are averages on social media. We also saw the concept of algorithm and how we can use the algorithm of Facebook to our advantage and eventually hijack it somehow with advertising. which is something Facebook really encourage. We would need to pay to reach more people. This is how the business model of channels is made, but this is not a pejorative word or a concept we shouldn't appreciate. If we understand our job as communication officers as trying to reach as many people as possible, we need to weaponize our communication and use as many tools available as possible. Let's see in the next sequence what we can do with that.